everyone, my name is Michelle Sanchez, also known as EVILxHEMI on Xbox Live, and welcome to my channel, where I bring you tips and tricks and rants and raves on Black Ops 2 from an older woman's perspective. I hope you enjoy the show. So it's been a while since I produced a commentary game film, and there's a perfectly viable reason for this, and this is because I have been in the worst slump since Call of Duty hit the Xbox, and it happens to the best of us, pro athletes, writers, pro gamers, and I am not a pro gamer by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm sure they get into slumps too. You name it, for every kind of game you play in life, you risk the potential of hitting a slump. The past 2 to 3 weeks have been horrible, and I was starting to think I would never recover from it. I tried everything. New classes, new guns, new attachments, with suppressors, with no suppressors, core, hardcore, new game types, changing the way I run the maps, and all to no avail. It was almost as if I was playing in vain, like a gambler with an addiction, because the more I played, the worse I got, and the worse I lost, the more the frustration began to build on itself, and I watched my career KD slip from 1.83 to 1.76, and my team deathmatch KD slip from 1.5 to 1.79, and even when I just tried to play for fun and not care about my KD, it still didn't help. I couldn't climb out of the hole I was in. Now I was pretty close to tears one night. I was really frustrated, and I was pretty close to tossing Black Ops 2 for good because nothing I was doing was working. The harder I tried, the worse things got. What happened to me? I used to be a really good player, and it seemed that I lost my mojo and I couldn't figure it out. So I took a really hard look at what was going on, and I tried to implement some steps from real life and apply them to my broken down gaming skills. And it took me a while to figure it out, but this is how I handled it. So I tried to relax and put some distance between myself and Call of Duty, and I stopped trying to overthink the problem and trying randomly applying solutions without even knowing whether or not they would fix the issues I was having. And it shouldn't be stressful. This is a video game I love, and I game as a hobby and for stress relief, and code should not be adding to my stress level. It should be detracting from it. Anyway, I came to realize a few things. Going for the diamond camo seemed to be the beginning of my demise. I was using guns that I wasn't used to using and neglecting to play with the guns I really love, and I truly think I forgot how to use them. And running maps to try to get challenges done, like revenge medals and long shots and double kills and bloodthirsties, forced me outside of my natural feel for the way I normally run a map. And then playing hardcore to more easily get the 150 kills without perks or attachments affected my gameplay too. And on top of that, I'm used to getting 2 or 3 games, per week with 30 plus kills and single digit deaths for my YouTube channel, and I'm running out of game film, so that added to my stress level too. And when I'm playing team deathmatch alone without a mini-map, to deduce what's happening, in the game was harmful to my gameplay because I was guessing a lot of the time about what I thought was going on versus what was actually occurring in the game. And it might not affect a lot of gamers like you guys, but I rely on that pretty heavily since I don't go into game chat and I have to think like a teammate on a team where I have no comms. So when I got past the anger and frustration, I took a different approach and I tried some systematic problem solving, like what were some of the things I used to do when my game was on point that I'm not doing now? What guns did I use back then when things were going good that I'm not using now or using in the same manner as I did before? And what about my classes? There was a saying I remember from a basketball player in the NBA. His name was Scottie Pippen, and he said, sometimes a player's greatest challenge is coming to grips with his role on the team. Now, I had to try to figure out where the problem was. I tried different team-based games in core and hardcore, same thing, no dice, so I did something I never did before. I went into a free-for-all to assess my skill levels to see if I still had any. I've never played free-for-all before, so I made 2 basic classes and I went into matchmaking, and this game film is my first attempt at a free-for-all, and as you can see, there's nothing wrong with my gamer reflexes, and I was kind of overjoyed at the outcome, and things started to look up a little bit. So I came to the understanding that I needed to get back to basics. I needed to go back to my roots, back to the old school. I had 3 sets of 10 mixed up classes that were absolutely not working for me at all, so I decided to revert back to what I used to use and stick with core TDM until that day comes when I have a full crew to play with one more time. I took a long look at my career stats for Black Ops 2 to see what my 4 deadliest guns were, their accuracy and my KD with them, and the AN-94 came in first place, over 11,800 kills with it. The Vector K10 was second with over 7,800 kills, and the MP7 was third with over 4,800 kills, and finally the DSR-50. I have over 4,000 kills with that one alone. So I reduced my classes down to just was 5. One of each of these had one AN-94 with a suppressor on it, and each class would have the same perks too, just like they did in the past, only this time I wouldn't run any pistols since I really didn't use them in the past anyway. And so I chose to use Scavenger instead and pick up discarded weapons to use as a secondary during the game, and so along with that I got Blind Eye and Cold-Blooded and Engineer, one Bouncing Betty, and a Shock Charge, and it can't get any easier than that. So I got a good night's sleep last night, and I got on around 11 o'clock this morning and paired up with my friend Finn, also known as Fusion Chaos from Ireland, and we did some work, some really good work. And yep, there was a few games where we lost and some games where I barely broke even or went slightly negative, but the better games far outweighed the bad ones, and I knew some positive change had taken place, and it started with my attitude. So before long, I was out of my slump, and I felt better mentally, and I was able to focus more tightly on the game, and I even had fun, which is something I haven't had in a while on code. So I played for 7 hours, and even though my KD didn't move one whit, I know it will eventually because I finally got my game back. I'm done with diamonds, and I'm going to stick with what I know works. At the end of the day, my mini analysis and steps to correct my mistakes had proven effective, but Finn said it was the luck of the Irish that changed my game, and I concur on both points. Thank you for stopping by my channel and watching my game film. It means a lot to me, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found it helpful. Have a good day or evening wherever you happen to be watching from, and also take care, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Hemi out.